All right, Nick, let's talk about the Houston Texans. You talk about splashes. It really doesn't get much better than this. There's been a smattering of Texans signings all over the board this free agency period. There's so much to talk about, and I'm really excited to jump into it.
Yeah, Miles, they really dominated out the gate. Obviously, they crushed it in the coaching department, and they've not rested on their laurels. Really aggressive free agency, a lot of big time moves. I know you've got some exciting ones to report on. But before we get into that, Texans fans, we want to hear from you as always in the comment section below of all the moves the Texans have made so far in this very short term free agency period, and they've made a lot of them. Which one is your favorite move? Is it one of their bigger, more impact players, or maybe a low key depth guy that you think they got for a steal? Let us know who you think that is in the comment section below. All right, Miles, what you got? What's the latest out of Houston?
Yeah, Nick. So when you look at it, I think one thing you mentioned is the coaching hires. They've knocked it out of the park. And that was a big reason why some of these guys came over. And I'm going to start on the short end of the spectrum, and that's the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's why, some of these guys may have come over. Specifically speaking, safety Jimmy Ward is expected to sign with the Texans. Rejoined D'Amico Ryans on the defense side of the ball. Obviously, he was over in San Francisco, and that was a pretty big deal. I think he's going to be a high-end safety to go with a young Jalen Petre, who's going to be a really good pairing, a good mentor for him as well. They also re-signed MJ Stewart at the safety position, and then Chase Winovich is expected to sign with the Texans, along with Hassan Ridgeway. So there's a ton of defensive signings, but even more than defense, there's a ton of offensive signings, and I don't know who the Texans are going to pick, whether it's CJ Stroud, whether it's Anthony Richardson, whether I think personally it'll probably be a Bryce Young type guy, but whoever they get seems like they are now set up for a very successful future as a young quarterback. You see backup quarterback Case Keenum has come in to potentially mentor a new young quarterback, a guy familiar with the Texans organization. You see former Cowboy Noah Brown at the wide receiver position has signed with the Texans. Robert Woods, a big-time receiver signing for the Texans, huge for them. Andrew Beck at tight end. Then the two big ones to keep him safe, guard Shaq Mason and center Scott Quessenberry. These are all really big moves, Nick. I know I threw a lot at you, but what do you think about all of this for the Texans?
So I tell you what, one of the things the Texans did extremely well with all of these moves is how they structured their deals. And that's one of the things I really pay attention to, Miles, is to see if teams are following a good plan and a good strategy. Obviously, the Texans, as most people project, are going to go for quarterback at number 2 overall. I agree with you. I think Bryce Young is a likely guy at that position, but they'll have a number of options, obviously, depending on what happens at number 1. So what does that mean? It means you're going to have that rookie guy on that rookie deal. So once you figure out the kind of guy you have, if they draft the quarterback this year, the next offseason and the following offseason after that, they're going to want to be extremely aggressive in free agency, trying to surround him with talent. So obviously they do not want to tie themselves up and put themselves in a bad cap situation next year and the year after that, because they're going quarterback this year, right? So if you look at these deals, Miles, and I'll give you a theme with all these deals right down the length of them. Noah Brown, 1 year. Shaq Mason, he's a veteran, so he's got I think 2 years left on his deal. Case Keenum, 2 years. Winovich, 1 year. Jimmy Ward, 2 years. Quessenberry, 1 year. You go through all of these. I cannot find a single deal the Houston Texans have made so far this offseason that's longer than 2 seasons, Miles. I love that. It shows that this organization really has a strong plan and knows exactly what they're trying to do and how they want to build a roster. Obviously, they want to surround the young quarterback in the best environment possible. I love the veteran guard. I love Case Keenum as kind of a mentor guy. Of course, Dameon Pierce is a beast. Robert Woods is going to be a reliable receiver. Hopefully, Brandon Cooks resolves himself and stays with the Texans going forward. So they gave him a good environment to start with, but they didn't put themselves in a bad cap situation, so that way they can go really big next offseason and the offseason after that when they've got their quarterback on that rookie deal. So from that perspective, both sides of the coin here, Mike, the Texans knocked it out of the park.